Hey, this is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Sorry, I didn't know the mic was muted. Again, technical difficulties this morning. So, how's everybody doing this nice Sunday morning? I wanted to do Rome Eternal. I wanted to do that comic today, but I comics. I got to stay on top of it. When you get so many comics, I think I filed it in the wrong box, and it could take forever for me to find. So I just went and I ordered another copy. So next Sunday I will do Rome Eternal. Number one. The reason why I wanted to do that is Humberto has been on my channel. He's the writer, but the colorist is Oscar Carano, who is the colorist for Mary Sue, and he's also the artist and colorist for Eddie is Doomed, which is being worked on now. So I just wanted to help my buddy out. But I can't freaking find the comic, and I that was my New Year's resolution to get more organized. So just because you make the resolution doesn't mean it happens overnight. It means it's a process. It's a process. So I'm trying to get more organized. Let's see. I kind of like pick one project a week, and I'm trying to improve on that. And I did not get to organize my comic book room. Well, or at least whatever. I'm babbling. But let's check out the comments. We got Duck Bacon. Good morning, John. Duck Bacon drew a really, really cool patriarch last night on Don's Draw stream. Don Draws Stuff has a channel called Don Draws Stuff, and every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till whenever. We were on for 4 hours. We chat and draw. And last night they did the patriarch, my character from Heroic Tales. So of course I had to be there and talk, and I talk too much, but that's the charm. So I would love to, if Duck, if you could send me that image, I want to make a thread of all like the fan art and everything like that of the patriarch. Or at least I started a fan art. I'll bump it up and add to it. So I gotta get my mouth working. So here's the link. You could still get my comic. I was thinking about this morning. Kyle Prometheus, who did my trailer that I just showed, I love that snappy trailer. I'm gonna hire him to do a trailer for issue 2. Now that the Mary Sue story is complete, and Renzo is working on the patriarch story, so I'm waiting for more patriarch pages. So you know what I mean. I don't want the whole trailer to just be Mary Sue, and then people are like, "Where's the patriarch?" So we'll have 5 pages of this, 5 pages of that, or whatever, and then he can make a cool, snappy trailer, and then it's launched the campaign. Now the caveat is I'm watching other campaigns, and it seems like everybody's not doing too well right now. So I mean, I have no problems waiting, and then hoping for a better, maybe things get better in a month. So I'm watching other campaigns, but rest assured, it's being worked on. Eddie is Doomed is also being worked on. So I'll have 2 campaigns. I would really like to launch the Heroic Tales #2 Strike While the Iron is Hot kind of thing, but it's a business, you know what I mean? As much as we don't want to think about it. What? Matt Watt, how you doing? Hello, fellow young people. How's everything? How are you doing today? Good morning, Pete. How are you and Allison doing? How is it? How's the weather out there, man? It must be so glorious. It would be worse, but I'm on furlough, so I don't have to go outside if I don't want to. Oh, I might as well. Friday, I went to the spinal surgeon for a checkup, and she said everything's healing up so well that I do not have to see her anymore. So that's good. So that's good. It was weird. I went for an X-ray, and it was like a motion X-ray. So, they had me moving my head around and everything like that. So I'm healing. There you go. I do not have to worry about going to the spinal surgeon anymore. Spider-Man thing. Yeah, didn't Al Gore try to protect us against Spider-Man thing? All right. Oh, now I can rest. I'm not even joking when I say at this point I get stressed if I don't get the drive-by blessing from Zach Tan. It's like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Do you sort your comics alphabetically by publisher? Alphabetically, everything. Because because some comics like Miss Tree is Renegade Press, then it's Cerber our book, and it's got the same numbering. Some comic like some comics switch comic book companies, and I don't want to jump around. So it's all alphabetical by character. Alphabetical by character. So I have a series. If you go through my playlists, if you go to John's Long Box on YouTube, click playlists. One of the playlists is called Cataloging My Comics. And so far I got 54 boxes. It's just me taking the first box. And what I'm doing is I'm making a video record of my comic. Mostly because it's kind of fun to do. Second, because I lost my database and I'm rescanning in all my comics, but I stopped doing it when I broke my neck because I wasn't allowed to carry anything. And then I just, because I wasn't allowed to carry anything, move anything, my comic book room just got overwhelmed with comics. And I finally got them organized, but as you can see, a few comics I think I put in the wrong boxes, notably Rome Eternal, who I don't know where. Sometimes, maybe I just slipped it in the wrong box, which means it might as well be lost. It's like the Ark of the Covenant, one comic book out of 55,000 comics. I'm not gonna. So I ordered another copy. The other one that's just driving me crazy is Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos #1. I didn't even read it yet, and I think I slipped it in a box, and I just can't find, because I don't think anybody stole it. So. And that's like $1,000 comic book, the first appearance of Nick Fury. So if you look at that, you could see how I catalog my comics, how I sort my comics. So the thing that's confusing about it is most notably X-Men. So X-Men. So the just plain X-Men would be first because it's X-Men. Then Adventures of X-Men. Last would be Uncanny X-Men, even though that was the first X-Men series, because I go by the character or team or whatever, and then the adjective. So like Superman, just plain Superman would be first. Then Action Comics featuring Superman. Then Superman, Adventures of Superman, and things like that. Superman, Man of Steel. So that, because I want all of my Superman comics in one area. You know what I mean? So, but then Marvel Team Up is not particularly a Spider-Man book, so I don't do Spider-Man Marvel Team Up. I do Marvel Team Up because some issues don't even have Spider-Man. So there you go. Like Marvel 2-in-1 would be right after Marvel Team Up. But again, you could go. I got to get back to doing that. I'm up to box. I actually have a Post-it note on the last box that I scanned in to go back and continue. Hey, Oscar, I hope you heard what I said about Rome Eternal. I sent you a message. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I bought another copy, so at least I helped out. So I'll have 2 copies of Rome Eternal. It's got to be in there. And watch, when I put this away, I'm going to find it. That's just the way it always works. But either way, I'll have Rome Eternal for next Sunday Comics. And the Eye of Agamotto. I just like when it's centered right here. And I'm going to do another video later tonight. Me playing a board game, a solo board game called Besieged. Everybody's saying hello to each other. I love that. Hey, Marcus, how you doing? Hey, Marcus, yeah, send me a DM of the picture you drew last night. I want to make a thread of all these cool patriarchs. What Marcus drew, patriarch versus patriarch, and if it was ever to be colored, it would be inverted. It's like the negative, patriarch versus the positive patriarch. And we were joking, calling him the Fuhrer. Oh, absolutely. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, Man-Thing. Marcus brought this up when we were talking about it's clobbering time Friday night, Swamp Thing versus Man-Thing. So I was like, that would be a good Sunday Comics. The Madness. Hey, Pops, Lori almost funded overnight. Paths of the Peril. Go ahead. All right. There you go. Live now on Kickstarter. Drinking some coffee to that. Lori Calcutta is she does her own comics, Paths of the Pale Rider. I forget how many issues I have. I think I'm behind an issue or 2. Most impressive is the effort that this woman does in her comics. Oh my God, she makes movies, videos. She makes her own books. Now, when I say makes her own books, I'm talking she gets like leather, paper, sews books together, and makes custom. Oh my God, I wish I had a tenth of the energy and creativity that this woman has. I'm not even joking. Just like I said, I'm constantly amazed at the stuff people come up with in this circle of comic book creation. We got Joe Dog over here with the I always loved it. It brings back such pleasant memories. You know, at the risk of sounding maudlin, how's that for a good word? Maudlin. Since my car accident, my emotions are like this close to my skin. You know, just like when I'm sad, I'm like devastated. When I'm happy, I'm overjoyed. I think a near death experience changes a person. My wife for a while was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" But when I see this George Perez picture, it just brings back happy memories of my buddy Jimmy. Jimmy, if you're in the chat, hello, say something. Me and Jimmy were nuts for these Teen Titan comics, you know, and it just reminds me of him in his house in Massapequa, just hanging out reading comics. Teen Titans and Moon Knight always reminds me of Jimmy. Hey, RJ Williams, how you doing? Laurie is only 650 funded. Cool. Good for Laurie. Again, super talented, super inventive woman. Heroic Tales is still in demand on Fund My Comic. For those of you who didn't get it, if you got the comic, you could go check it out. There's other stuff on there, like my challenge coin, t-shirts, the rest of the cards that you may have missed. Oh, and speaking of cards, campaign 2 for issue 2 is going to be more streamlined. I'm going to have t-shirt for Mary Sue. I'm going to have the Patriarch t-shirt. I want to have a catch-up tier, you know, for like a bundle tier for everything, kind of stuff like that. But I'm not gonna have like pint glasses or anything like that. That was rough. I still have a whole bunch of pint glasses if anybody wants them. But it doesn't make sense to have a beer glass for Mary Sue. She's not that kind of character. But I'm gonna keep it simple. But I want to set stretch goal tiers for every, like, if we get to I don't know, but you know, we have to hit a certain number. And then once we do it, like for every 1,000 after that, I'll release another card. And there's going to be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's going to be almost 15 cards. It's 15 cards. So this is ambitious. And I already sent the cards out to get the graphic design for them. Where am I? Where is Marcus Keller Group? Where is Marcus Keller Group? Okay. Pete Rock, you just set off my alphabet alarm. Action Comics after Superman? Yes, because Superman doesn't have an adjective. It's Superman Action, Superman Adventure, you know, Adventures of Superman, Man of Steel. Just like it was X-Men Uncanny. So the character, the team, and then the adjective. You know what I mean? So yeah, it wasn't officially called Uncanny until 142. Yes. So it's really bizarre that the first X-Men team is the last book in my order, because Jim Lee's X-Men goes first because it didn't have an adjective, even though Uncanny, but Uncanny became, you guys all understand that. Hey, Monumental Comment. How you doing, Adrian? Good morning. Good point, Marcus. She rebinds them. Yes. Just amazing talent. Good morning, everybody. How you doing, Crenshaw? Just DM my Patriarch piece, but it's not finished. Oh, yeah. It's cool. Great clobbering time. I just know I had a little bit of both. Yeah, I like them both. I like them both. Maudlin sounds like a venerable lady's name. Maudlin. Yeah, it's an old. There's a lot of words that are just like sound old. Both Martian Manhunter and Superman have telescopic vision. Yes, Martian Manhunter has all of Superman's powers plus other stuff. Yeah, which always bothered me, and always like, why do all of these space aliens have the same Kryptonian powers? Because I have like fan fiction in my head that might as well talk about this for a second before we talk about my comic. But in my mind, the Martians arose first and developed all of these powers, you know, because in DC continuity, they created this race like gem, son of Saturn, and everything. So they were these space-faring race. They developed, and they looked over at primitive humans and tried to reshape them in the Martian image, meaning they gave them powers and things like that. And then these humans with these super strength, heat vision, and invulnerability, and everything like that, they caused havoc. They went nuts, and they caused like the destruction of pre-civilization Earth, like the catastrophes and things like that. So the Martians went in a great war that wiped out most of the Martian civilization, and Martians finally got the upper hand and banished these, because they only did a handful of humans, and banished them to a planet where the radiations contained their powers so that they wouldn't cause problems anywhere else. And that planet was Krypton. And then the Martians faded into the west like Galadriel. And then millions of years later, we get Superman. That's mine. That's mine. Yeah, the Martian Manhunter is vulnerable to fire because Mars doesn't have any oxygen. So they evolved on a world, with carbon dioxide, no oxygen. So they don't have any natural defenses to fire. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Ketchup over catsup. Is that what you're eating for breakfast? All right, so let's check out the reason that we're all here. Trying to adjust the camera. There we go. So we got Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man, and the Man-Thing. Now, I didn't reread this, and I literally haven't looked at this comic in like 20 years. So I might get things wrong, but that's the fun stuff. So check this out. This cover is by let's see if I put that there. Can we read it? But it's John Byrne and inked by Rubenstein. I just love this Spider-Man. What do you feel about this big old? This always reminds me of like the Tick or something like that. But that, this was the official Spider-Man costume. Even has the Ditko webbing over here. What do you guys think about the webbing in Spider-Man? In my head canon, I can't believe I said head canon. In my mind, Peter Parker makes his own costumes. He sews them. That's why there's variances in his costumes. It gets wrecked, he sews it. Like I could see like Iron Man has different costumes because he's always tinkering and stuff like that. But like Peter Parker, he makes his own costume and he's with limited finances. So like it's not a factory. That's why his costume changes. Sometimes he has the webbing, sometimes he doesn't, because of time and effort and things like that. So that's how I always describe it. I would in the Patriarch's origin story, which I think will be in issue 4. Yeah, issue 4. We're going to talk about costumes and things like that. So you'll see how I think about costumes. Have I not done Clobbering Time this week? Yeah, I did. It was 8:30 Friday night on my channel. We did Swamp Thing versus Man Thing. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we did it. Yes. Yeah. It makes sense. Also explains why Superman looks human. Yeah, because he is human, and why he could breed with humans, right? Every future story has Superman having children with humans. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Bird does it beautifully. I love this costume. The spider looks like a ladybug. Yeah, it does. It does. To me, it looks like a tick, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because the 8-armed ladybugs would have 6. You know what I mean? He's also pro, considering Peter's an amateur seamstress. Yeah. Well, Peter's genius. He was, or he gets good, or the spider agility. There you go. Do you think they team him up with anyone because he's popular? Or do you think Spider-Man's popular because he can team up with? They team up Spider-Man because he's popular. That's it. Spider-Man always was one of Marvel's, if not the most popular. Like now, today, right now, if they were to do Marvel team up, it would probably be Wolverine team up. Marvel team up Wolverine and somebody. But for the most of Marvel's history, well, I don't even know if I could say most of Marvel's history, but for the longest time, Spider-Man was Marvel's biggest character. And believe it or not, the second favorite for a long time was Ben Grimm, The Thing. That's why Marvel Team Up had The Thing. The Thing was super popular. Now you could argue the Hulk, but you know, you pretty much could have had Marvel Team Up with the Hulk. What do you think, Marcus? You're a comics historian. I don't like Spider-Man shooting webs out of his hands. Just his other powers are cool, but webs of the line. What do you like? You like him having metallic web shooters, or you don't like the organic? I don't like the organic either. Although it kind of would have made sense for him to get bit by the spider and develop webs. You know what I mean? Like if that was the original origin, I would have accepted it. But I never bought that. Stan Lee kind of hinted that, the ability, the idea of the formula of the silk was transmitted through the spider, but I don't know about that. But like, how much of a genius would Peter Parker have to be to come up with the web shooter idea? You know what I mean? It's just such a brilliant idea. But I do like it becomes a plot point. He doesn't have enough money to refill the shooters. He's running out of shooters. They break, things like that. When was the last time he glided with? I don't know. I haven't bought a new Marvel comic since 2015. Only back issues since then. His team ups were to sell the other character that the team spider. So absolutely. Yeah, it was it. Yeah, that's why most of the Marvel team ups, it's they didn't team him up with the X-Men too often, because at this point the X-Men were selling, you know what I mean? Or Captain America. Yeah, it was always Shang-Chi and Machine Man and Man-Thing. Good point, Pops. Spider-Man was one of the most popular solo characters because he hadn't joined the fit. Yes, absolutely. Spider-Man works best as a solo and a team-up guy. I don't like Spider-Man on the Avengers. And it's funny because somebody posted on Twitter, is this the greatest Avengers team-up of all time? And it was Captain America, Iron Man, Ronin. Hawkeye is Ronin? No. Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, and Wolverine. I was like, no, that's not the Avengers. Wolverine is an X-Man. Sorry, Wolverine is an X-Men. Spider-Man is a solo guy. Luke Cage is not an Avenger. And Spider-Woman, she's, she could be somebody that was on the team for like a little while. But no, the Ultimate Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Wasp, Yellow Jacket, Wonder Man, Scarlet Witch, you know what I mean? Like, sorry, guys, get off my lawn. It's crazy that you're trying to talk Stan Lee out of making Spider-Man because spiders are creepy. Yeah, they did. That's, and there you go. And as I said a million times, Spider-Man was scary in the 70s. Little kids were scared of Spider-Man. Nowadays, you put on a Spider-Man costume and jump out of a kid's party, kids might be startled, but they're like, Spider-Man. If you did that in the 70s, freaking kids would scream. Spider-Man was scary. It was a spider mutation. The webs would have come out of his butt. Yeah, no, that's what Eric Larson has for what's her name? Web Woman or something like that. He's on his own fighting villains like the Green Goblin, Kraven, Shocker, and others. Yep. I don't like the natural webs. Yeah, I when they did it for the Sam Raimi movies, and then Marvel, Stan Lee's like, yeah. I'm like, that was like, Stan, you'll just say whatever gets a buck in your pocket, right? Savage Avengers was the best Avengers. Bendis put everyone on the X-Men. You mean Bendis put everyone on the Avengers? Yeah, Bendis ruined It's funny because I always said that Bendis was patient zero of the destruction of Marvel, but your boy Zach says it's Joe Quesada because he hired Sana Amanat and Bendis, and I have to agree that Joe Quesada was the cancerous cell that metastasized and destroyed Marvel. Am I the only one that does not like team ups? I feel team ups cheapen most of the characters. I love a team up when it happens organically. I will be the first to admit that there's a lot of bad Marvel team ups comics. There's a lot of bad Marvel 2-in-1 comics that are just like, oh my God, like we just got to force a team up. But when it's well written, team up is good. Like one of my favorite team up books is this DC Marvel, DC Swamp Thing meets Superman in DC Comics Presents. I always forget the issue number, but it is just phenomenal. It's just a good, clever, like if an editor is just like, okay, next week Spider-Man meets a Nightcrawler, go. Odds are it's going to be a mediocre story at best. But like, I like what somebody's like to me, these Marvel team ups should be just open invite to all of the Marvel staff and just like, what ideas you got? What ideas you got? And okay, you're doing it this month. You're doing it next month. You know what I mean? That's, and then get the best, most enthusiastic team up stories. If I was running Marvel, that's how I would do Marvel team up. All right. So let's check out the comic. Dark Swamp. Dark Fear. And this is the actual comic that I got off the stands. Wow, I've been talking a half hour. I didn't even open the book yet. And again, I haven't opened this up. Maybe 10 years ago was the last time. 1978. That ringing is our wife is going out to feed the stray cats, and that's the Ring camera going off. So we got Chris Claremont, author, John Byrne, artist, Bob Wayachek, or Way. How do you pronounce his name? I always say Wayachek. Bruce letterer, Phil R. colors. Bruce, who's Bruce? Bruce doesn't have a last name. And Archie Goodwin, editor. Phil R. colorist. A lot of these colorists, I don't recognize some of their names. Like some of them weren't around long enough to me to really remember their names. But Phil R. colorist, I don't know how long he's been around. I don't recognize the name. But Bruce who? Letterer. All right, so I'm going to address the chat, and then going forward, whenever I'm done with the page, I'll address the chat. Joe Dog. My favorite team up is Spider-Man and Daredevil, Spider-Man and Valkyrie, Batman Brave and Bold with the Teen Titans. Yeah, those are all good. Batman. I don't have that. Maybe I do have that Batman Brave and Bold with the Teen Titans. But yeah, Brave team ups were big back then. Superman had a team up, Batman had a team up. The Thing had a team up, Spider-Man. It was fun. What I don't like is when they pair up different superheroes romantically. It erases all the connection the individuals have. Well, I don't like it. Again, it has to be done with panache. How's that for an old word? What was maudlin and panache? That sounds like let's make a TV show with like maudlin and panache. Oh my God, that's like it'll be like a detective show of like an old couple in a retirement home. They're old, and they start flirting, and as a way to kindle their romance, they start solving crimes, but not like real crimes, like who took the golf cart and left it out in the rain. Maudlin and panache are on it. But I like when Daredevil was with Black Widow. I love that. And then I did the Marvel team up with Spider-Man was starting to fall for Nancy Rushman, who was a name for the Black Widow. I do like that, but I don't like it when it's forced, and I don't like shipping, a term that I just learned in the last 4 or 5 months. Just shut up with your fan. Unless you got 55,000 comic books, stop what you're shipping. I like the Spider-Man and Black Widow team up. Yep, me too. That's close on Wayachek. Oh, all right, I'm sticking to it. Hey, Genuine Comics. Dave Brink makes his own comics. Genuine Comics. I'm a big fan. It's funny because I keep saying, "Oh, Dave, I made up a character with the same name, remarkably similar," and then I feel like I need to prove it. Like I don't want him to think. So I actually found some old character sheets, took pictures of them, and sent them to Dave. Like I had an artificial female human named 10, and I was just so glad that the paper was yellowed, and then I had a sleeper agent, and I took pictures and I sent them to Dave. But Dave, just so you know, Don draws stuff for the studio next week. I voted for them drawing 10. It's about time they drew some sexy women over there at the studio after the patriarch. Too much testosterone. And check out his comics. There you go. Perfect timing. Perfect. check out Dave. Dave gets it. Good comic book creator. Freaking brilliant opening splash. Yep. Phil R sounds like they used an intern as filler to do the coloring. Inker Bruce Patterson on lettuce. Okay. Phil Ratchetson. Oh, I've seen Phil Ratchetson before. And thanks, Marcus. Okay, so let's check this out. So, The Measure of a Man, the beginnings. It seems like, it seems like it's only the dead of night, an unreal Stygian blackness that only slightly broken by the silver bands of moonlight glancing off the ancient, gnarled, moss-covered tree limbs that shroud the swamp. How's that for some purple prose from Chris Claremont? And the creature that lurks within. Lord in heaven, the man thing, he's lunging right at me. That is really such a great opening. Look at that thing. That is just, I don't know. That's a cover in itself. I mean, that's a, you know what? I like this splash. This to me would have been a better cover. Look at that. I really dig that. All right. Oh. There we go. Dunk. Oh, Spider-Man saved. He's collapsing. That's no attack. I get the feeling he recognized me and was reaching out. They first met in Giant-Size Spider-Man #5. But the poor guy's so weak he could barely stand. Even though the environment inside the tank must duplicate Manny's swamp, I guess he knows it isn't his home, that he's in a case. And like any truly wild animal trapped in a cage he can't escape from, he's lost the will to live. So there you go. There's the setup. Look at Spider-Man. Look at that. He's not a skinny little twig. Look at that. As a muscular man, you know, that there's just something about that's the Spider-Man that just, look at that. Am I conveying, like, he looks powerful, he looks strong, he looks tough. You don't want to mess with that. And there's something about the I don't know, the size of the head, and then the eyes. It is kind of scary and alien. You know, this Spider-Man is just so cool looking. I don't know, like, I know probably everybody in this chat is goes gaga over the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, but this I just love this. There's something about this proportionality of this. I mean, look at that face. Look at that. That's Spider-Man for me. You know, the big gigantic eyes and everything. Like, I don't know. I just like how he's built like a tough guy. You know, you know, Mary Jane must be like holding on to that bicep, like, whoa, Pete, you ripped, Pete. You know. So now, as you can see, it's a flashback. You see how the panels are rounded over here. This indicates a flashback. Beginnings. Where Spidey's concerned, they were innocent. Where Spidey's concerned, they were innocent enough as Peter Parker and Mary Jane had gone to the circus. So they go into the circus and they see Man Thing. He was on a rampage in Atlanta, but that was months ago. What's he doing here? Man Thing 19 to 22. And Peter Parker goes to that's Amos Jardine, the circus owner. Just coincidentally, he just happened, this owner of the circus, just walking around, you know, with this huge fat tie, you know, looking like every gangster, you know, just central casting. We need a gangster. You know, I just wondered, did Chris Claremont even describe this guy, or did he just say like he's the crooked owner? And Byrne was like, got it, you know. And then just drew that. Even has like a twig sticking out of his mouth. He goes, I'd like to ask a question about Man Thing. I do some work for the Daily Bugle. What right do you have to exhibit them? You clowns never give up. Well, bug off. I'm tired of talking and I ain't got no comment. You know, and there's Mary Jane. Right? I found him, Bucko, and I captured him, and I'll do what I want with that walking mound of muck. You know, he's like, let's go. And then we got all the tough guys hanging out, you know. Pete's surrounded. All right, we'll leave. Nice talking with you, Mr. Parker of the Daily Bugle. So that boom, 2 pages, entire setup. You know, they allude to the continuity of the Man-Thing comic book. Perfect setup. Pete's in a circle. Why? They didn't say it, but this must be New York. You know what I mean? The traveling circus. Perfect reason for Swamp Thing to be out of his native environment. That's one of the things that I like Superman is known for Metropolis, but Superman could fly. So Superman could be anywhere. You could put Superman anywhere. Batman, it's tougher to get him out of Gotham City, but you could do it, especially when he's with the Justice League. You know, Spider-Man is kind of centrally located in New York. New York always seems to be the center of all the alien invasions and things like that. But Man-Thing is in Citrusville, Florida. You know what I mean? And how do you just keep having stories in Citrusville, Florida? Well, that happens to be where the nexus of all realities is. So make it important, and then make it a reason for things to go there. Science City and Heroic Tales. There's a reason why that location was picked, and there's a reason why poop happens in Science City. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do. Plus, the patriarch can leave; he can fly, although he's not light speed like Superman. So it's a difficult way to Man-Thing is a difficult character to hold his own comic, because he's tied to Citrusville, Florida, you know, and then you make it the next whole world. He goes on a rampage in Atlanta. He gets captured by the circus. You know what I mean? This is a brilliant opening to get everything done. You're right away sympathetic to Man-Thing. What's going on? He's trapped. He's a trapped animal. Right away, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is the hero. He's going to save a suffering being. Now, is the Man-Thing a human? Is the Man-Thing a monster? Is the Man-Thing just an animal? Like, would you do this to a kangaroo? That's left up for you guys to decide. But this is just a brilliant opening. It establishes all the characters. Man-Thing is suffering. Peter Parker is the good guy willing to help. And then this creep right away, immediately the bad guy, you know, Amos Jardine. What a great name. What a great name. So before I turn the page, let's check out the comments. So Enrico Wellborn, talk about a great name. Enrico Wellborn. Back when Marvel Comics had grit, classic team up. Yep. Well, I got to say one more time, Enrico Wellborn. What a great name. A bit of in media res. Yes, and now we're brought up, you know. Perfect. The Measure of a Man titles with reflective depth. Marvel back then had some good, absolutely. And it's also a real interesting title for a Star Trek episode. The Measure, right? Is that the name of the episode? Measure of a Man? And Measure of a Man, isn't that a Shakespeare quote? Talk about purple prose with Chris Claremont. Ah, man, I just so good. It's just so good. And when I say I'm bringing back like Bronze Age stories, like this was written for children, but here we are, adults appreciating this. You know what I mean? Shakespeare references. You know, comics didn't pander, especially Marvel Comics, did not pander to children. And when I say all ages comics, we're not talking Spidey Super Stories. Spidey Super Stories is written for young children, and that's great. It's an aid to get children to read and into comics. You know, it's brilliant in that. But look at this. This was children's literature in 1978, back, you know, before the Board of Education, when kids could actually read. All right, let's get. I forgot Spider-Man was supposed to be muscular. I'm used to seeing him lean. Yeah. I love this big, tough, muscular bodybuilder Superman physique Spider-Man. Enrico, I just love saying this name, Enrico Wellborn. That's my Spider-Man favorite styling of. Yeah, mine too. John Romita was my prime Spider-Man growing up. Yeah, I think John Romita was my Spider-Man also. When I close my eyes, think of, but I'll be damned if I'm going to say anything bad about John Byrne's styling on anybody. My only criticism of John Byrne, and even John Byrne goofs on it, is his faces tend to look the same, like his heroic faces, like he could make. But also, this guy is the same as Darian Cross. You know what I mean? That he's got like prepackaged faces for a lot of characters. It works. Does Peter Parker wear baggy clothes, or is he openly a jacked geek? I was just saying that. Like, look at over here. You know, like same with Clark Kent. Same with Clark Kent. Mild mannered Clark Kent. Yeah, Clark Kent's like 6'4" and ripped. You know what I mean? Mild mannered. You bump into Clark Kent on the bus, you're like, whoa. You know what I mean? He's sitting in the bar. Like, we've all seen that trope of the girl with the baggy clothes and she looks dumpy and frumpy and stuff like that. And then she takes off her sweatshirt and she's va 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 voom and Zaftig and all those. I'm going all out on these old school worlds. We got Maudlin and Panache, we got Zaftig and va va voom. Oh man, that could be a team up. Maudlin and Panache, you know, they team up with like their younger, older, you know, whatever, ex vaudeville strippers, something like that. And we got Zaftig and va va voom. You know, I'm just going nuts on this idea of Maudlin and Panache. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden the girl's like, oh my God, she takes off her glasses, her hair falls down, and she's, you know, who's the it girl? I guess the it girl right now is Sydney Sweeney. I was going to say like Farrah Fawcett because this is 1978. Off to church. I appreciate that you stayed to bless me and then went off to church to renew the font of blessing. Peter Parker wears a long sleeve shirt and a yellow sweater. Yeah, pretty much all the time. Peter Parker kind of had a costume, and Mary Jane kind of had a costume of like that yellow sweater and some sort of slacks. The title is Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy or Spider-Teen. He was only in high school for a short time in the comics. The vast majority, absolutely. And you know what's funny, Enrico? I'm glad you brought this up. Is they keep focusing on Peter Parker as a high school kid, but Peter Parker graduated high school during the Ditko run, and Ditko, what did Ditko leave up? Issue 39? You know, and he was already in college by the time Ditko left. So you're absolutely right. Most of Peter Parker's Spider-Man comics took place while he was in college, which is, you're still young these days, you know, because, you know, I remember the Democrats were running, your child will still be on your insurance until they're 26. 26 is not a child. 26, you know, the guys who wrote the Constitution were like 21, 22, fighting the British, you know what I mean? But 26 is a child now. So most of Spider-Man's history, he was an adult. You're absolutely right. Even Ditko progressively drew Spider-Man more fit and buff, making more of a mash. Yes. All that web swinging and fighting, you know, Peter Parker was constantly exercising. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. Torchbearer Studios, how you doing? One of my favorite Man-Thing appearances. Yes, this was like perfectly. This worked perfectly for the purpose of Marvel team up, of get a popular character, a less popular character to get some exposure. Security cripes. I love that. This is one of those comic book curses. You know what I mean? You can't have them say what they would really say. You know, it's funny because I talked with Mike Barron on the phone yesterday. He was giving me some constructive criticism. He liked my comic. He loved the art. He loved the coloring. Loved the lettering. His only problem was me, the writing. But Mike Barron being a writer, I think that's what he would focus on. And he was talking about some of my dialogue, you know, and it's funny because he said like nobody in a fight talks like that. That's one of Mike Barron. So I was even thinking about that when I was writing the Patriarch versus Dr. Robug, and I'm like, Mike Barron's going to kill me. He's going to hate this. And sure enough, he brought it up like, Dr. Robug, you sanctimonious fool. He goes, nobody talks like that. You know, he would say F you is, yeah, well, Dr. Robug talks like that. Sea Monkeys. This is the ad that if you got my comic, you saw Sea Hippies. This is exactly what I was goofing on. I love this. And I will tell you, at some point, you will see that there is an undersea city inhabited by these in Heroic Tales. Of course there is. Of course there is. You guys want a Hardy Boys Nancy Drew t-shirt? Who doesn't? Look at that. Look at Sean Cassidy. Sean Cassidy is dreamy. Parker Stevenson is dreamy. The Hardy Boys, they are dreamy. They're dreamy. What else you want me to say? Get it now. Get it now. 1977. All right, so let's go over here. Boom. We got the security guard over here. Cooper. Telepathic Bunny is the security guard shining a flashlight on Spider-Man. Wait, you're Spider-Man. Holy cats. I love these curses. Holy cats. This is fantastic, man. I'm your biggest fan. Oh, sure. Lots of them. I'll bet. What you doing here? I bet. I'm glad to meet you and all. Oh, my crazy brain. I have fans. Sure, lots of them. What you doing here? I'm here to check it out. What Georgie's got. So we got a flashback over here. We got Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing. Forgive me. Man Thing Militia. We got Man Thing over here. So now we're going back, filling in all the details. So one of the roustabouts told me what happened. The circus was heading north out of winter quarters in Florida, a jerkwater hamlet near Citrusville. When Mucky here staggered out of the swamp, burning like he'd been dunked in napalm. There wasn't much left to do. Johnny didn't care, dead or alive. He figured the thing make a heck of an attraction. They dumped him in the octopus tank till the habitat got built, and the rest is history. So nobody knows, but we do if we read Man Thing 19 to 22, which I love that stuff. That always made me feel like, wow, the world is interconnected. And believe it or not knowing exactly the details worked in Marvel's favor, because now I wanted to get those comics. You know what I mean? And also, how would this guy know all the details? How would Amos Jardine and the security guard know all of the details? It kind of is realistic. You know, nobody has absolute knowledge. So everybody says he's a dumb animal, but he should be alive, but he's intelligent. That I get the feeling he understands things. So, you know, so again, this empathetic rapport that Man Thing is now exhibiting over Spider-Man, he's starting to feel. And again, look at the shape of the face. Look at the shape of the face. I just, they always make this like the modern Spider-Man, the Eric Larson, the Todd McFarlane. He always has like this tiny triangular face with the big eyes. I don't know. This is the Spider. Maybe that's why Spider-Man's not scary anymore. Did they make him like the big doe-eyed? You know, what do you guys think? You guys are art. We got Matt Bauer in the chat. He's another artist. You know, what do you think? Like, hey, Matt, we were just talking about You See Monkeys ad. Did you hear us talking about that? You See Hippies? So what do you guys think? Like, look at that face and compare it to like a Todd McFarlane face. Like, is this scarier? Is this why it changed? But anyway, so look at this. Spider-Man's gonna commit a crime over here and take Man Thing out of here. So boom. I love how we got one leg down here bracing, another over here, and Spider-Man. You could just see the tension in his back. He's slightly leaning back, using some leverage to lift the cage. And, you know, he just looks tough. You know, if Spider-Man was to punch, if this Spider-Man was to punch you, you're punched. You're done. You're done. You crumple in the corner. Look, if you're conscious, you go, hey, man, don't hit me again. I learned my lesson. You know, little wimpy Todd McFarlane Spider-Man punches you. You're like, hey, knock it off. That stings. Knock it off, man. That those tiny little fists sting. This Spider-Man punches you. You're like, oh man, you don't have to tell me twice if you're conscious. Yeah, and here comes Amos Jardine and two goons. He throws a web over him. I love that he comes running out with web stuck to him. And this is an interesting little I don't like that it's cockeyed over here. Interesting. This security guard quits. He's like, I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I'm not attacking Spider-Man. You know, you instantly like this guy. He's got like some sort of a like moral code that he's sticking to. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to see more of telepathic Bunny Cooper as the security guard over here. So now here's Spider-Man lifting a tank full of like muck, Man Thing, and water. You know what I mean? How much would you gather this weighs? A ton? A ton? Yeah, so good. So let's check out the comments over here. Oh wow, a lot of comments. Where are we? Progressively more masculine. but they do talk during a fight in comics. Yeah, I know. It's a comic book thing. It's a comic book thing. Have you guys been in fist fights? You talk shit before the fight, you talk shit after the fight, but during the fight, it's not, not too much talking. But it's comic books. It's comic books. And the thing about comic books is time is wonky in this comic. Like, time progresses like this too. You don't just read it, because if everything happened at once, these two word balloons would be on top of each other, but they're not. So time changes in comic books, because it takes time to say all these words. So in one panel of a guy getting punched, there is enough time to throw that punch and say the words, and then punch, or punch and say those words, so yeah. It's just a comic book thing. It's a comic book thing. I absolutely agree. Matt Barr, how you doing? How you doing? Saying hello to the chat, saying hello to Marcus. John likes Buff Spider-Man and the Dreamy Hardy Boys. You got me. You got it. Parker Stevenson, man. He was a detective, and don't forget the Hardy Boys were willing to throw down some fists. They were willing to throw down some fists. They were man's man. Do you want to go drinking with the Hardy Boys? Hang out in the bar. They're talking about solving crimes, talking about beating down some guys. That's a night. That's a night. What else do you want? Hang out with men, or do you want to hang out with a guy that sits on the computer all night and gets super chats from other men? Here's $50. Could you say happy birthday to me? Okay. Now we're gonna not make a comic book for 7 years. Who do you want to hang out with? Just got back from church and we're reading from the book of Peter Parker. There you go. I remember I remember that too. Didn't they say that at the Alamo? Remember the Well, Byrne is better than Todd. You ain't got no argument for me. Like, you can tell the coffee just started kicking in. Byrne is better than Todd. Abso-freaking-lutely. There's only one person better than Byrne, and that's George Perez. But if you ask me tomorrow, Perez is better than Byrne. You know what I mean? And then Jack Kirby stands up and admires his children. Nice sip of, oh man, nice sip of tariffed coffee, because this is Tim Hortons coffee. Nice, 25% more delicious. Tastes like Canadian tears. It's harder to make fun towards the character who looks terrifying. Yeah, like I'm not joking. This might be a topic of comparison. Get old school Spider-Man and new school Spider-Man. I didn't find Spidey scary. Yes, because you were a comic book reader who read the comics from while you were in diapers and was familiar with the character. And not only that, I'm kind of joking, but seriously, you read the comic, you understood like his heart and his intentions and his motivations. You know what I mean? So it's hard to be scary of a heroic figure like Spider-Man. So I remember the frustration of not knowing a backstory or continuation, reading comics, couldn't buy back years. Yeah. It's funny that you said that, because another friend, his name was John. Believe it or not, John was a big name back, my age, everybody's named John, and I don't know anybody. Well, I don't know that many people named John, like 20 years younger than me. But he dropped out of comics because he was frustrated. He's like, I got to go buy this now. I'm a fan of continuity. I might as well put your comment on while I'm addressing it. I'm a fan of continuity. So I always think of it as a big diamond, and right now I'm looking at this facet, but this facet is on the same diamond. Now it could be, I don't need to know anything about that facet to enjoy this facet, but sometimes, if I want to, I could rotate the diamond and it's all one big, well-crafted, well-sculpted gem. And that's how I look at Marvel Comics up until around, the 2010. I'm going to arbitrarily say 2010. I quit in 2015. It took like 5 years of like, I can't deal with it anymore. But I'm a fan of this continuous sculpture, this beautiful sculpture that was Marvel Comics. Yeah, there was little tiny flaws in the gem, but not enough to shatter the beauty and everything like that. But I love that. So I did not get that Man-Thing comic until I was an adult. But that facet, you know what I mean? And if you, I don't know, maybe I'm waxing a little bit too poetic, but that's what I really liked about comics. And I didn't realize it until recently that was my favorite thing about comics. I like the characters, I love this whole big world that was built. I love world building, I'll take $50. $50 for what? Did I offer you money and forget already? Shots fired. What did I say? What did I say? I don't even remember. Somebody's laughing. You got to get Sardonic John is a great way to start my Sundays. We're talking about my coffee. My coffee. I forgot what I said. Personally, I feel Buscema and Byrne are equal. Ain't gonna argue with that either. Like I said, for the most part, when I started reading comics, it was John Buscema was Marvel. When I said Marvel Comics, I like Marvel Comics. I like Marvel Comics art. What I meant without realizing it was, I like John Buscema. And then I started to notice John Byrne. But like Marvel had a house style. It was like Romita that blurred into Buscema, that blurred into Byrne. But Perez, like inked by Sinnott, so like kind of fit them all. But then Perez became his own unique style. And I think like post Perez, Marvel started to like let the artists do their own things, which was really cool. You got some really great art. But then like sometimes characters became like unrecognizable, like the Hulk. Like you could write off variations in Spider-Man because it's just artistic, right? But the Hulk, he became so different. You had to start like addressing it in the writing. Like, okay, because of so many different interpretations of the Hulk, Bruce Banner's schizophrenic and has different multiple personalities that affects the transformation. Brilliant. And that evolved because of the art style. Marvel eased up on the house style. Sometimes it works. Torchbearer Studios says, I like that continuity made it so I can always read more issues and find out more of a bigger interconnected universes. Yep, now issues a month apart have no absolutely. Like Doctor Who. Every story is just boop. Like the only continuity in Doctor Who that they keep is he's the Doctor, he's got a companion, he time travels, he's a Time Lord. The Daleks, Doctor Who says, I've been causing too many problems, so I'm going to release a computer virus to erase all knowledge of Doctor Who throughout the universe, all time, space, and dimension. And then the next issue, Doctor Who shows up. Everybody knows Doctor Who. It's like children writing it. I don't want to talk about Doctor Who. I just get mad. Let's flip the page. Rockets that you fly. Did anybody get this? My older brother got these, and we used to go down to the park, and it was like a freaking bomb. It was like a cardboard tube, just stuffed. You stuck in these little cartridges that were big as like shotgun shells, and they would just basically like M80s, you know what I mean? But they were designed so that all the energy came out rather than an explosion. All the energy just came out in a cylinder out of the bottom, and boom, it just shot the rocket up, and then it would spit, and then a little parachute guy would come down. Oh man, it was so much fun, but it just burnt up after because it was just a cardboard tube. So sooner or later, you just left with the little plastic parachute guy because the parachute was like flimsy plastic, like a little plastic bag. Oh man, but toys were dangerous back then. You basically bought gunpowder cylinders, like kids in their 20s would be like, this is what you guys played with? No wonder when you're 17 years old, you look like you were 30. You know what I mean? And now you're 26 years old. You're a child on your parents' insurance because Nancy Pelosi thinks 26-year-olds are children. We got Dracula over here. Who is this? Mort Drucker? Is this Mort Drucker art? I know Matt or Marcus would know. Matt, you still around? Oh, I just saw Matt comment. All right. So let's get back to the art at hand. So now, what are they doing? How we doing, Nina? Any idea when we'll reach the swamp? We've been over for about 15 minutes. Oh, it's big. That it is. 5,000 square miles. Some of it's still unexplored today. And thanks to our moldy passenger back there, it's home sweet home. What's he made of anyway? Take a deep breath, pal. Then you tell me. I owe you for flying this charter, Nina, and I owe Kurt Connors more for arranging it. So, who are these people? Peter Parker called in some favors. Kurt Connors, who lives in Florida, arranged a charter. And now we got Nina and unnamed man over here. And, you know, look at that face. Look at Nina over here. I think it was Chris Claremont. Does Chris Claremont have some family that were like pilot stuff? Because he always seems to have like a thing for female pilots, you know. And thanks to Dane Gavin and the New York Ecological History Museum, see giant size man thing number 2. Connors ain't even footing the bill. Better flash Citrusville Omni. Let them know. Holy boom! So what's going on? So they're referencing continuity, giant size man thing. You guys want to see my giant size man thing number 2? And apparently some organs the New York Ecological History Museum is footing the bill to bring Swamp Thing back to Citrusville. You know, like a native cryptid, we're going to put him back. So, you know, it's all being taken care of. You know, and all of a sudden the motor explodes because it's a comic book. Shazak, and we got you know, it's a 2-prop plane. One of the props is smoking, and we crash. And what do we got? A big old web ball. A big old web ball. Boom. You know, Spider-Man, look again, big muscular Spider-Man. I don't believe you're alive. Thanks to your flying and my web ball, lady, here we are. And what happened to your partner? Because I don't think we have to worry about him. Poor guy. We almost got him home, you know. He got burnt. Look. And then the man thing just regenerates in the swamp. So this comic is establishing that away from this particular swamp, man thing loses his ability to regenerate. Something I didn't factor into its clobbering time. You know, Swamp Thing just needs to be near vegetation. Apparently, Man Thing needs to be in this swamp near the nexus of all realities. So they watch Man Thing just regenerate. They stare at him, and he just wanders away. You know, mindless old brute of Man Thing. So let's check out the comments. Matt says, "Yo, Dale, yo, Joe, Comics Raider. I had something similar, but it was made of fire-resistant plastic. Oh, yeah, the old school, fun, explosive, burn your house down toys. Burn is amazing, but love me some piece. I ain't gonna argue with that. I prefer the older Spidey eyes. Me too. You know, like again, they were a little scary. There's something about like Superman should be the only superhero that doesn't evoke fear. Like even when bad guys fight, they're afraid that their schemes have been foiled, but they're not afraid that they're going to be beaten mercifully, contortions and broken bones and murdered. But when Batman shows up, you know, you should be like, I think I need to forget about when Punisher shows up, you poop your pants and then die. But like when Batman shows up, the bad guys should be like hesitant. Like, I don't know what to do. This guy's going to like, is it worth the beatdown that I'm going to get? Should I just go to jail and at least go to jail without a broken jaw? Spider-Man, you show up. Spider-Man, like he's imposing, he's big, he's muscular, he's tough, you know, and read some of the Spider-Man comics from this era. He punches and you see teeth flying and stuff like that. Like a mugger with a knife going after an old lady, Spider-Man shows up, you know, and then Spider-Man's like, I got tests in the morning over here. Mary Jane's giving me nonsense and Aunt May's sick, and boom, and he just punches a mugger, and that mugger goes flying. You really see that the Marvel team up that I showed a couple weeks ago when you know, with the Scarlet Witch, he was beating muggers like they were going to the hospital. And some of those were never mugging again. So when Spider-Man shows up, there should be some legit fear in people, like, oh, you know what I mean? But like the only one, like Captain Marvel, Shazam, he shows up. The average mugger is just like, all right, I give up because A, I can't win, and B, you know, if you do hit me, I'm liquid. But like Superman, Captain Marvel, those are embodiments of good, angelic, pure good. To the point, if you're mugging, like this is how I would do Superman. Superman lands. Matt Barr is stealing a TV set. He's got the TV set and he looks up and Superman's there. And then Matt Barr goes, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of what I'm doing. I'm going to go to church. I'm sorry. Here's the TV back. I apologize. You know, that is what Superman should be doing. Like, he's just like a force of, like, Superman shouldn't have to hit the average guy because, you know, the average guy is like, Superman is like holy and shows up and like people like, oh my God, Superman's disappointed in me. You know what I mean? Same with Captain Marvel. I put those two on the same kind of pedestal. Spider-Man shows up, the Matt Barr's got the TV and he's just like, I'm gonna put this TV. Don't hit me. I'm gonna put the TV back. You know what I mean? I'll give myself up. You know, kind of thing. Batman shows up. Matt Barr's just like, oh shit. He closes his eyes, holding the TV while he's getting punched. Punisher shows up. Sorry, bye Matt Barr. But you know what I mean? That's the way I would do these comics. You know, with toys like that's one. I know. That's why we laugh at everything, you know. That's why that Generation Z's got that, like, I don't know how much I agree with it, but we got that like reputation of being like the F around and find out. Oh, it's Jack Davis. What did I say? Mort Drucker. When I saw the Spidey eyes in the average Avengers movie, I got giggly. Yeah, they did the costume pretty good because you can't do a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man really because the anatomy is all wrong, right? He's almost like it can only exist in a comic book. I was going to say Jack Davis. Marcus beat me to it. Joe Orlando drew the Sea Monkey ad. I had Orlando. Yeah, cool. I love hearing about that stuff. I love hearing about that stuff. I used to put the rocket cartridges in my GeoJ and shoot it down the road. I wish I thought of that. Oh my God, I wish I thought of that. Jack Davis is one of my favorites. Yeah. We used to buy bottle rockets and break the sticks off of them and just hit you in the head, freaking explode. We used to take firecrackers, light them, and throw them at each other. You know, bunch of idiots. Take fire. Yeah, put the firecracker like right next to my face in the slingshot. My friend would light it. Boom. You know. You know. Bunch of idiot kids. But we lived. I tell you, we used to, you know, fill up spray bottles with gasoline and spray our bicycles and then light our bicycles on fire and do jumps. Slob, Ghost Rider, you know, bunch of idiot kids, but it was fun. All right, let's turn the page. So this is interesting. This was like a squeeze tube. It looked like a toothpaste that filled with like a viscous fluid. And you know, I press it up against the wall and then I pull it slowly and it would make like a line, like a I guess the I don't know if it would harden in the oxygen or if it was like a, what do they call that? A meniscus that, you know, like surface tension. And then you put it to another line and you pull it off quick. So there would be like a web and then you could put Spider-Man on it. I wonder why they didn't have that when Spider-Man movies came out. Like all I could think of is it must have been poison. It must have been poison. Otherwise they would have brought it back. Strong arms. This always bothered me. This ad, just the 1 foot under the body always just made me think of like a monoped. And here's all the candy. And before I turn the page, let's Jack Davis is one of my favorites. Yeah, Jack Davis. All those guys from Mad Magazine, top talents, all of them. I think Man Thing is really interesting, but Swamp Thing is pretty much a god. Yeah. We established. Matt, I don't know if you went and watched the video, but we said the Alan Moore and Beyond Swamp Thing, no contest. He beats almost anybody. He you know, he could find a way to beat Superman kind of thing. But the Bernie Wrightson. So there's the Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing and the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. Those are the two categories. So we just conceded that one. We didn't even. So we talked about the Bernie Wrightson, and we pretty much said that the Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing wins because he's more intelligent. And Man Thing really doesn't really have the motivation and tactic planning and stuff like that. But there you go. I called to see if I could reprint his Frankenstein in the Scared book. Brian and I did. Oh, okay. I didn't know anything about that. Okay, so let me see if I got this right. So you're talking to Brian to see if you could reprint. You and Brian did a Frankenstein story in a comic called The Scared. Cool. I'd love to know about that. Brian's got copies of Blue Shoggoth that I want. I've had beers with Jack's son. He's an architect. Oh, in Atlanta. I had a job in Athens for a few. I could mimic checks. Oh, cool. So you mimic the logo for. Oh, cool. My favorite Spidey costume is the Japanese one in the live action 70s version. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Japanese one. I got to look that up, but I love the 70s version. The costume in Spidey Super Stories for the Electric Company is a great costume. It's comic book accurate. They get a guy who's in shape, and then he just slinks around. Again, how is the 70s Captain America costume better than the modern? Why? Because they take liberties. They're embarrassed by the source material. Embrace it. If the Fantastic Four costumes aren't just freaking leotards with the colors on them, then they ain't the Fantastic Four costumes. They're going to put lines on them, and they're going to make it look bad. They're going to make it look bad. Make Marvel great again? Absolutely. How about M80s and garbage cans? Yep. How about M80s? We throw them in the water. Boom! Make mushroom clouds in the water. Legit. Yep. All right. So let's go to the next page. So now, that's one heck of a lady. Now, so Spider-Man just, what did he actually say here? But I was going to make a joke. Okay, Man Thing, what's he doing? I know it sounds crazy, but somehow the swamp revitalized Man Thing, restored him, and yet I still get the feeling he's in pain. Whatever hurt him before hasn't gone away, and Man Thing's going to fight it. Originally, when I thought we were bringing him home to die, I figured poking around for a day or two in the swamp in case something was crazy, but now I'm going to stop it before anybody else gets hurt. So, make a long story short, Spider-Man thought he was bringing Man Thing home to die. Now he's revitalized, and because of this, remember, Man Thing has these vague empathic abilities. I think in his limited intelligence way, Man Thing is asking Spider-Man for help. Spider-Man's like, he something's bothering him. I gotta go check it out, and he just leaves these two. We'll be all right. The Air Force heard our Mayday. They'll probably send a copter. So, okay. A line or two to explain them. I feel bad. That's one heck of a lady. Never mind the guy. Even back then, who cares about men? The lady is important. And he's going out and helping Man Thing. And what do we got here? In the middle of a shack, tied up, is an old man and a girl. Dakimh. I can never pronounce this guy's name. Dakimh. Dakimh. Look, Man Thing's returned as he said he would, and he brought help. So this is Jennifer Kale, the sexy magic using girl. Here we got a picture of her over here. This is the Wizard, and I do think that this was modeled after Frank Thorne and Wendy Pini. Frank Thorne famously would dress up as a wizard and go to conventions, and he would draw himself in comics as a wizard. And Wendy Pini won contests for cosplaying as Red Sonja. Wendy Pini, oh my God, talk about va-va-va-voom and zaftig and all those old words that I was using before. Oh my God, what a figure. And then later on, she became famous for the artist for ElfQuest. And she would dress up as Red Sonja. Frank Thorne would dress up as a wizard and go to conventions. And I think this is just, they were all friends. So I can't prove it. This is just my assumption that these two characters are based on them. So introduce Despair. Oh my God, do I love this? Simple, elegant. The name is a perfect. This is the demon Despair. And look at this. Tell me that isn't just one of the ultimate comic book designs of all time. Why this guy's not a major Marvel villain? I freaking love this. Look at that. He looks like an evil Vision. Just so cool with these gloves. Help Jennifer Kale? He's brought one man, and a mortal to boot, who could no more stand against my power than your pet quag beast. When he first tried to rescue, here I am Despair. If you value your life and your immortal soul, run from here. If you stay, bolt or forfeit. You know, a little bit of brag. You know, Spider-Man's like, man, thing's stopping. Why? And then boom, we get this freakish box over here to explain backstory. And because Man-Thing is a freakish synthesis of science gone mad and age-old mystic power, you know, so in my mind, when you blend magic and science, to me, that's alchemy. Hint, spoiler for Heroic Tales. So alchemy is a blend of magic and science in my logic. So, you know, it's not so much the super soldier serum, it's the super soldier serum plus the location of the nexus of all realities and that's the same thing with Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, you know, was the biorestorative formula, you know, and the Parliament of Trees. You know, it's amazing how similar both characters are. Because Swamp Thing is alchemy, he could see this tower because of his unique thing. This tower exists and it doesn't exist. You know, and it's a mile above the swamp, a tower whose essence is so malign that the Man-Thing finds himself true. So this tower, so what Spider-Man sees is a shed, but what Man-Thing sees is this tower that may or may not exist in this dimension or whatever. It's just so wonderfully vague. I just love this stuff. Hint, in Heroic Tales, there's a character called Visionary who has every eyesight-based power that you could think of. And because of that, he could perceive reality. And that's inspired by From Beyond. The ability to perceive reality defines reality. So that'll probably be issue 6 or 7 of Heroic Tales. But anyway, so Man-Thing sees this tower and he sees them how they're really dressed. Damk, the Enchanter, the girl, his disciple, Jennifer Kale, and they fought against Despair, you know, and lost, and now they're imprisoned by Despair. And Spider-Man is just like, I appreciate the concern, man, but that bozo's looking for. So Spider-Man doesn't understand the gravity of the situation because Spider-Man is limited by his 6 senses. Spider-Man has 6 senses, the 6th sense being the Spidey sense. Everybody else got 5 senses. But you know what I mean? He doesn't have the Man-Thing's mystical nexus of all world magical sense. It's just, I don't know. I just love this stuff. I love this stuff. So before I continue. No, Scared was a how to draw book we did for Random House. I wanted to reprint this. Oh, you mean this? I'm a Brian Bauer super fan. What do you want me to say? I got all 3 of them. Zap, science fiction, swords and sorcery, and Scared. I didn't know you were in on this too. Cool. All right, let me put that down. All right, so let's Scared was how to draw. I wanted to reprint the 6-foot-tall Frankenstein Jack Travis dude. The nice thing about Random House, everyone. Oh, okay. It seems like modern creators are embarrassed to work on superhero books, so they try to make. Yes, absolutely. Embrace the source material. And notice that all the best superhero movies are the ones that they just embrace. It's, you know, like the first Thor movie. I don't know how you feel about that, but they just embraced the hokey Jack Kirby, Asgard, and the Rainbow Bridge. You know, may or may not be aliens, and they just embraced it, and it's awesome. It's just awesome. I really like the first Thor movie. You know, and something tells me that they're not going to embrace the Fantastic Four, that they're going to poke fun out of it and whatever. I tried more Swamp Thing and did not enjoy it. Slow, depressing. Did it give up too soon? Watchmen, yes. I guess I like better. I can see that. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing was I don't know, a slow burn, but it was I guess to each their own. I freaking loved it. I love it. I'm a big fan of Alan Moore. You know, I seem like I'm like his only defender these days. When did you stop reading Swamp Thing is depressing, but there's some bright stuff. Yeah, well, it's a horror comic. It's at root, Swamp Thing is a horror comic, and horror is a downer. You know, there's not too much uplifting horror. Yay! You know what I mean? Horror comic is a downer. You know, Marvel was what One Piece is today of this generation. Large interwoven storylines are collecting. Oh, really? That made me super interested in One Piece. Hey, Grey Wolf, how you doing? And I thought I was caught up. People like and yearn for multi-phase epic storylines to comprehend. That's why people. That's why I think people like Lord of the Rings. You know, Lord of the Rings. It's like, yeah, I like it. And then like Lord of the Rings is like, oh my god, I like it so much, I want to learn more. You know, but how many people like watch those Lord of the Rings movies and like, I hated it. You know, it. Don't get me started on Rings of Power. Torchburst, you laughing that I had the book? You're laughing that I had the book? Hail Duck Bacon. I think my name is on the cover of Scared. I only have 2 drawings in Zap and none in the Sword and Sorcery book. I didn't really look at them yet. You know, I got them and they're, yeah, it's just funny that they're right there. Hail to John in the chat. Hey, Levi, how you doing? So, all right. So now we're all caught up in this. And turn the page. And I love this. So now, just like little subtle things that we're in Spider-Man's world. Little subtle, I don't know how subtle this is, but Despair. I just want to see. Okay, they didn't show Despair, but Despair looks like a costume supervillain over here, and he's standing on the deck of a cabin. So we're in Spider-Man's world with Spider-Man senses. This is just Spider-Man rescuing a damsel in distress, a kindly old grandpa from a supervillain. You know, so he just. You're either brave or a fool, little man. Whatever, you'll soon be dead. You know, and he just punched him. I'll go for broke with my first shot taking the opening he's given. No telling what kind of powers or weapons he's packing, and I'd rather not find out the hard way. Crack, my hand. You dare challenge me? And he just grabs him. Now, what's happening? The scream comes from out of nowhere. Torn from the very core of Spider-Man's being. So this is more than just he's choking Petey over here. He's choking Peter Parker, but he's doing more than that. This is a psychic assault, a spiritual assault. And this just infuriates Man-Thing. Man-Thing just, now look at this, feel my power. Now, look at the subtle shift over here. From over here, it's a guy in a costume, but over here, he's got the teeth. The cloak is like McFarlane. So now, you know, because this psychic spiritual, it's one of the things I'm trying to drive home in Heroic Tales is that there's 3 important realms. There's the body realm, the material realm, there's the mental realm, and there's the spiritual realm, you know. And when I introduce my mystical character, we'll talk more about that, you know. And if I ever get around to doing a role-playing game, that's going to be, you know, the three groups of stats: spiritual stats, mental stats, and physical stats. And where they overlap is your hit points and things like that. But this attack has drawn Spider-Man into this like other realm. Rather, you know, Spider-Man exists in this material realm, so he sees his true demonic form over here. And then the assault is over. Look at, he's back to just being a supervillain, but he's so focused. So maybe this panel and this panel are kind of simultaneous. He's focused over here attacking Spider-Man's soul. He doesn't see the Man-Thing come up, and Man-Thing just slaps him. Bog beast, will you never learn? I must teach you a lesson even your mindless form shall never forget. And Despair, psychically, spiritually, whatever, assaults Man-Thing, and he's burning from his own power. You know, just runs into the swamp to regenerate himself as Despair just gloats. And it's just so good. But what did Man-Thing do? Man-Thing, we keep saying he's mindless, but he's not quite mindless. You know, he knew this is heroic. Man-Thing knew this was going to happen. You know, he knew all about this. But what was he doing? He was saving Spider-Man. Because Man-Thing, horror comic, you know, but ultimately he's a Marvel superhero. He saved Spider-Man's life, literally at the risk of his own body and soul from this horrific demon. I just love this. It's so good. So good. Everybody's addressing each other. John Constantine first appeared in Swamp Thing in 1985. Hellblazer was my favorite comic. Me too. Swamp Thing and Hellblazer brought out the best. Now, I don't like the New 52 bisexual hipster doofus John Constantine. I like the borderline criminal, psychotic manipulator, John Constantine. And I understand he's not for everybody's cup of tea. He's not a hero. He's barely a good guy, but he is the example of the ends justify the means. He's just a horrible bastard. And that was the 80s. The 80s was John Constantine. Alan Moore, I've sort of credited with the downfall of comic books because everyone tried to copy his writing style. However, only Alan Moore can write with Alan Moore. Yeah. You know, my original thought was like, everybody's like, oh, look, I hate Christianity, I hate religion, because they look at what people have done in the name of religion. Yeah, but Jesus was a cool guy, you know. Now, yeah, horrible analogy, but Alan Moore, I love Alan Moore's writing. Can't blame Alan Moore because he wrote so well that other people wanted to copy it. Yeah, and I'll leave that. Oh no, the feminine form on panel, the shame. I know it's going to corrupt you. It's going to corrupt you. Excellent book breakdown today, John. I'm glad. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Smokey. Thank you, Smokey the Concat. Can't blame me. It's just amazing comic. It's just an amazing comic. The first Thor movie is absolutely dope. Easily the best Thor. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Did you like the Man-Thing appearance in the Disney Halloween? I didn't watch it. Better than this horrible portrayal on the Man. Didn't watch it. I got zero tolerance. You know, I watched the Spider-Man multiverse movie because I really wanted to see Toby and Andrew Garfield again. But that was the last Marvel thing I watched. I did not like the Loki, you know, the Loki show guest starring Loki. You know, I didn't watch the Ant-Man, so I haven't watched. I heard the Werewolf by Night was pretty good. Maybe I'll check that out. So now we got this. Continued after the next page. Hey kids, get with it. All right. I just want to say that if you don't have pizzazz, you're not with it. And they tell you how to get with it. You get pizzazz, you get humor, you get stories, you get TV, film, and music reviews. Get a magazine you could relate to. Finally, a magazine that you could relate to. And then we got these ads down here. Just a freaking glowing skull. A little tiny gun that you put little tiny bullets in, and when you pull the trigger, it freaking explodes, makes smoke, flash, you know, simulate. The 70s were so great. You had Big League Chew. So you had gum to emulate chewing tobacco. Then you had candy cigarettes, gum to emulate smoking, and now you have little toys to emulate guns. So when you grow up, you can have real guns. Look at that. I freaking love this. You get a spy pen so you could check out that hot chick. You could get a hypnotizing coin to hypnotize that hot chick that you were just spying on. Yeah, just ultimate stuff. Ultimate stuff. X-ray glasses so you could check out that hot chick after you spied on her and then hypnotized her. Or maybe I did that out of order. You spy on her, then you peep on her, then you hypnotize her. There you go. So now we got the letters page. Again, web zingers. I can only emphasize how I love the letters pages. It made you feel like a community. You know what I mean? You wrote these people. Yeah, they were edited. Some of them were just written by Marvel, but it gave you the illusion that we were all like there was other nerds out there. Like, the letters page is brilliant. And again, please, guys, I'm begging you, write to heroicmails@yahoo.com. Write letters for Heroic Tales. Write letters. I'll publish them. We'll talk about them. I don't want to make up letters, and I don't really want to write editorials every that just if I ask for letters and I'm doing editorials, it just looks bad. It's embarrassing. So yeah, so write some letters, guys. We got Doug Milken, John Scrutchkin, Michael Higgins, and an ad for Marvel over here. Look at all these. Look at all these characters. Great costumes. Every one of these costumes, simple and elegant. Simple and elegant. As few lines as possible. Just good stuff. Good stuff. I always read quickly. Be a leper. Free 1 million. I always talk about this every time I see it. That I just picture like there's a warehouse in like Mesquite, Illinois, with just like a pallet, just shrink wrapped $1 million and like $20, just sitting there, just waiting to be claimed, and nobody did. And now the lights are off. They threw a canvas on top of it, and they moved on. And that $1 million is just like, Oh, before I go, let's address the chat. Fraga says hi to me. Dan Fraga says hi to me. Cool. The last Marvel thing I watched was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That was excellent. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's the one with the High Evolutionary. I originally wrote it off because they race swapped the High Evolutionary, but I liked it. I love the High Evolutionary. He's one of my favorite, characters in all of Marvel. Just a fascinating character. It had its problems, most notably like Adam Warlock, but I liked it. Werewolf was pretty good. I watched it a few times. Okay, maybe I'll check it out. Dude looks like Dracula. Perfect team up for like this. A dark demon, a vampire in the bayou, lurking in the woods. Absolutely. One of my favorite villains. Spoke with Fragger on the drive up until the downpour started. Oh, it's raining? Is it raining here? I'm down in the basement. It's cloudy, but it's not raining. Big League Chew is still around, but very few places carry it. Oh, so you know what I'm talking about. BLC had some early. What is BLC? BLC had some early Jack Davis drawings on the packaging. Oh, Big League Chew. Big League Chew. Yeah. I see in my mind. I still see the Jack Davis drawings on. I use that ad to subscribe. You use this? Did you cut it out of your comic? Like a barbarian? Like a barbarian? Did you cut this out? I subscribed a few times, and even then I didn't cut my comics. I just wrote down. I cut a piece of loose leaf. I copied all the information because I wasn't cutting. They were pumping out pages. They needed costumes simple. Yes. Yeah, I understand. Matt makes an excellent point. Matt being an artist and graphic designer and anything else that Matt will come and build your house for you. He's that talented. But I understand. They did few lines as possible because they were pumping out monthly comics. That's so the Hulk. You couldn't make an elaborate costume. Like the most elaborate was probably Iron Man over here because they had to be drawn quickly. How many times do you draw Captain America in each issue of Captain America? You can't. So like when the New 52 came, they had Jim Lee redesign all of the DC characters with all of these lines, but then Jim Lee wasn't drawing the character every month. He could afford to make it complicated and extra lines and all that stuff, and I don't think it helped. It didn't help. So, Mike, I got some nice compliments. Duck Bacon notably said he really liked the design of my character, the Patriarch, but it's inspired from these types of simple and elegant, as few colors as possible kind of costumes. And I think it works. I think a superhero is supposed to be a representation of an ideal. You know what I mean? And like a representation of an ideal. An ideal is supposed to be like simple and easy to convey. So like if there really was a superhero, I think that they should have like these Marvel and DC types of designs, simple, elegant, easy to understand the ideal in because he's, the Patriarch isn't James Kelly. He's the Patriarch. Captain America isn't Steve Rogers. He's Captain America. And when he shows up, this ideal is being represented. And the colors influence that, the costume design influences that, the body stance influences that. Spider-Man like this is part of his ideal. He's Spider, he's creepy, he's Batman with the cowl hiding and everything like that. So I think, uh, like even if we lived in a world with superheroes, I think the best, most successful superheroes would be sleek, aerodynamic, few colors as possible, less of a mess. Because like when you have like a modern Captain America design with the belt and the pouches and everything like, and all the colors and it muddies everything up, and it makes it like, oh, so this character is confused, this character is complicated, the ideals he represents are complicated. You know what I mean? Could you imagine like, super being lands in the middle of Hamas and Israel, and this guy's got like 14 different colors and everything like that, and it's just like, well, I'm just complicated because the world is complicated, and no, it should be simple and elegant. One side, it's easy to understand what he's there for. So there you go. Waxing pontificating for a Sunday. Right? There's my church sermon. I think we made a copy of my dad's. Okay, good. Whew. Marcus didn't mutilate his. He didn't perform gender surgery on his comic book. Mark Boyd. I know I've seen your name before. Maybe technically not a race swap. The High Evolution just woke up that morning and put his face on the head. All right, I'll buy it. No prize. There you go. You get no prize from me. I always wanted a no prize. I always wanted a no prize. And you could go on eBay and buy like a no prize envelope, but that's like getting a best writing award from that you didn't earn because your buddy said you deserve it and pat you on the back. Matt, did the client like that huge painting you were doing in the? Oh, okay. When you read, okay, Matt, did the client like that huge painting you were doing in your garage? That was cool to watch it come together. It didn't help with the New 52. Matt's not responding to Torchberry's to me about Jim Lee's designs for the New 52. I like how the comics in the Marvel movie and X-Men, people see these heroes doing stuff. I like how the comics, the Marvel, yeah, people see, yeah. So I think what Matt's saying is in real life they would be a blur, which makes it more of a necessity to be simple and elegant. Zipatone in the 90s, detailed cross hatching. Oh, okay. Again, I'm having trouble reading everything. Zipatone is better than the 90s detailed cross hatching. I'll buy that for $1. I like how they were. Oh, I already said that. Out of curiosity, what's my most controversial comic book opinion? I have to think about that for a second. First thing that popped into my mind is there should never have been a Phoenix Force. Never have been a Phoenix Force. Jean Grey, her name was Phoenix. That implies resurrection. If you name yourself Cyclops, that implies one eye. If you name yourself the Hulk, that implies strength and power. If you name yourself Iron Man, that implies iron and armor, things like that. Batman, it implies darkness and mystery and all the things that go with the night. You know what I mean? So when you name yourself Phoenix, that implies fire and resurrection. Now, she didn't quite have the fire because the Phoenix is a female word from Phoenicia, and Phoenicia was famous for its purple dyes. The sea people, the Phoenicians had this purple dye that they made. So the Phoenix was this purple fiery bird. That was their emblem, a phoenix. And the Phoenix was female. I don't know, like Emprix, things like that. So it was a female. So it was a perfect name for that character. Now, Chris Claremont and John Byrne understood that Phoenix meant fire. So they had her telekinetic powers like resembling fire. So that took care of that. They also should have understood that it represents, the Phoenix in Legends bursts into flame, burns, and then dies, and then born in its own ashes. It's just so great, which Carl Sagan then said that stars are phoenixes. Stars, they're fire, they explode, they send out all the heavy elements that coalesce and then form new stars. And he says, so that's what Phoenix, it's poetic. It rhymes. But anyway, so they didn't need this alien cosmic entity that wasn't Jean Grey to come and so for two reasons. It absolved Jean Grey of drama. She so if I was to go back in time and Jim Shooter, nope, she comes back to life because she's the Phoenix. So I would have had, somebody goes to the blue area of the moon, the Fantastic Four or the Avengers, you know what I mean, or whatever, and they just find this red-headed naked woman walking around in the blue area of the moon. What's going on? Are you Jean Grey? That name sounds familiar. I think I am Jean Grey. They take her back to the X-Men. They find out that she's Jean Grey. And what happens? Charles Xavier does the mind probe on her, and he just gets horrified. What? This is a cycle. This is Jean Grey. So she's going to, it's just like a meter. She's going to turn into Dark Phoenix. She's going to explode again. She's going to go nut, boom. And it's just going to happen for all eternity. No Phoenix Force necessary. It's a unique, I hate when they take away the uniqueness of a character. Spider-Gwen and all the different Spider-Mans and all, I will accept a male version, a female version, and maybe a child version, complete the Trinity. Other than that, I don't want to see any other version. Machine Man, Machine Woman, Machine Baby. That's it. Other than that, you're going too crazy. But I just think this would have been like, all right, we got to enjoy, like, they don't want to kill her. They can't kill her. You know what I mean? Or, she's Phoenix. So like the best you could do is like exile her on another planet, but then she's going to go off. It's just a threat that they have to deal with for eternity. I think that would have been so much better. Now it's the Phoenix Force, and the Phoenix Force could go to Cyclops, or it could go to Spider-Man, and Howard the Duck could become the Phoenix. It's just terrible. So how is that? Does that answer your question? Zipatone all the way, baby. They love the painting. Delivered it and watched some of the players getting viewed. Oh, cool. How did you deliver it? How do you deliver something that big? I know you put it in tote bags and everything like that, but does it get seamed? Does the paint crease? Does the paint break off? I don't know any of that stuff. Strenko used to sell off his Marvel dead stock. Fool, he might have had no prize envelopes. Oh, cool. Hail Don, magnificent creator of the Patreon. Hey Don, magnificent host of the studio, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm voting for a perfect 10. I want to see all you guys draw some sexy ladies. Shooter decided the broccoli people's lives matter. They did. They didn't do nothing wrong. Holy poop. He's got a head shaped like a broccoli. Funniest line from Ant-Man 3. I didn't see Ant-Man 3. Can you believe if you went back in time and told a 12-year-old John, hey, there's going to be an Ant-Man movie and you're going to like it. It's going to be an Ant-Man movie. Oh my God. Hey, there's going to be a third Ant-Man movie that you're not even going to want to see. The world is funny. So now we got Despair returning back to Spider-Man. We're in Spider-Man's world. The wizard. And I love this. We do a close-up on his face, so you don't really know. Well, you do know because he has this funky hat. And now we go back. We get a little bit more motivations on Jennifer Kale and a name I can never pronounce, kind of like Faft. I wasn't so scared. I'd laugh. Mr. What Tower? All I see is a shack. In terms you can understand, Spider-Man, if despair is not stopped, he will kill us all. So, they're talking to each other, and Spider-Man's like, "What are you talking about? There's no tower here. There's a freaking shack because Spider-Man is limited by his six senses, And this is Spider-Man. Again, perfect. Being a hero is not the absence of fear. Being a hero is having fear and still doing the right thing. If you don't have fear, you're foolhardy. If you have fear and overcome it, you're a hero. That's why Green Lantern to me was always like the man without fear. The man without fear dies young. We evolved fear. That's why I hate all these campaigns that are against human nature. Like, say no to hate. Hate is a human emotion. What other emotions are illegal? Saying no to hate, outlawing hate is thought crime. and love causes just as much problems, as hate. You know what I mean? I don't like that. But anyway, to me, Green Lantern, it was always the man without fear. Or Daredevil was the man without fear. He who's without fear. Stuff. It's so I like that they realized that they corrected Green Lantern, that he's the man to overcome great fear. So so I love this. So he jumps into the swamp, and look at that. Just look at that. That dark maw. Spider-Man just punches despair, and his mouth is just open. Oh, and I love what the implication is, that Spider-Man is punching despair, but this is a spiritual battle. It's like Gandalf fighting the Balrog. If you read the Lord of the Rings, they don't really show it in the movie, but if you read the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf slams the door and then casts a spell to lock the door, and then the door just blasts open, and Gandalf. So the rest of the Fellowship, the door just flies open, the lock just smashes up, but there's darkness beyond, and Gandalf falls to the ground, and he's like, "Run, flee, you fools, flee! There's beyond you." In the whole speech and everything like that, and then they run to the bridge and everything like that. But Gandalf was already fighting the Balrog in this spiritual world that the rest of them maybe Legolas could see, because elves are spiritual beings, but the dwarves are fully material, humans are fully material, so they can't see. Aragorn has some Maya and elvish blood in him, so maybe he could perceive what's going on, but the rest of them are just like, whoa, what's going on? That's what this is. Spider-Man's not just throwing a punch. This is a spiritual battle. Spider-Man's spirit is fighting despair, right? That's why this punch was so devastating, because here he is. Look at his word balloon. It's all wiggly. It's all and he gets up, he musters his courage, he attacks, and then throws a punch, and like, as at the risk of mortaling and panache, it's he's psychically attacking despair right here, and look at despair, and then, so what does he do? Blasts him. He's trying to, oh no, now, no bravado, mortal, please, no more, and then now he's just revert to fisticuffs, he's just gonna he's gonna destroy Spider-Man physically, he's gonna destroy Spider-Man mentally, he's gonna destroy Spider-Man spiritually. What a great comic. This is just so good. I'm so glad, Marcus, good job recommending this. So good. I will pay you $9,785.01 for this penny. This always drove me nuts. I was always looking for these pennies, and the image is so bad that you can't see the penny. What's different about it? I don't know. It's just a picture of a mucky drachma. I don't know. This always, I always looked at this ad, I'm like vaguely turned on by it as a kid. You know what I mean? Nowadays, this big ass to hip ratio would be a thick chick, but whatever. Oh, before I turn the page, let's Mark Boyd, Phoenix Force is now devalued as Captain Universe trope. You get the P-Force, you get the P-Force power. Yes, absolutely. And there could be 10 of them at the same time. There could be 4 of them it's just so bad. It's just so bad. They had Captain Universe. I like the concept of Captain Universe. The hero who could be me, and that's what made Captain Universe unique. That was his unique thing. Yeah, absolutely right. I'm absolutely right. I'm trying to collect controversial opinions for Stream on Planning, so your answer was perfectly fine. Cool. If let me think more and get back to me. I know I have more than just that one. Did Daredevil ever meet Man-Thing? Good question. They shouldn't. Daredevil works best in the grim noir cities, and Man-Thing works best in the the swamp. But I'm sure somebody out there could find that they met. They must have met. Everybody meets. Are they bringing Serpent Crown into the MCU? That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, yeah, rebooting the Marvel Universe is just as easy as saying, okay, camera goes over here, next universe over. You know what I mean? But I'm not a fan of that. Like I have no problems with recasting actors, but I don't know. I don't know. The MC they just damaged it. They just damaged it. They should have taken the George Lucas approach. Every 3 years, come up with one kick-ass movie. When the Star Wars movies were released, man, it was a freaking phenomenon. And now it's just like a da 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 da. They just pop out another movie. Da 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 da. You know, being human is a thought crime. You're not too far off the truth. What I miss? I'm gonna Mama down the back of her bed. She's feeling bad. Prayers if you have them. Okay, say hello to Mama Donna. Mama Donna. 78 years young with diabetes. You got to take care. Got to take care of your mama. You're a good boy. Good boy, Donnie. Shame on you, John. Mixing franchises. Hello. Just making a fear joke. Yeah, I know that. The Man Without Fear meets Man Thing. It kind of implies that they should. It insists upon itself. All right, so let's go to the next page. Beg me for your life, Spider-Man. Or must you feel my touch of fear again? On your knees, Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, this is Marvel team up. And I always say this, and as much as your boy Zach, Richard T. Meyer, gets on my case these days, and I unsubscribed and I haven't watched one of his videos in 6 weeks. Your boy Zach, he always says that it takes 2 weeks to break a habit. Well, I used to come home every day, watch your boy Zach while opening up my mail. That was my routine. Come home, take a shower, put on a cup of coffee, put on your boy Zach, open up my mail, at this desk. It's been what, 6 weeks? 6 weeks? Because I don't care about you fighting with Critical Blast or Critical Drinker or whatever I don't care about that. I don't care about that. But anyway. But one thing he said, and he's absolutely right, is if your name is on the title, you got to do something cool in your own comic. So Man-Thing is doing something cool. Man-Thing saved Spider-Man. So I don't mind that Spider-Man is cowering in fear, because now we got Man-Thing's moment. I grow weary of this farce beast. So he's using his own emotional powers to burn the Man-Thing. And again, what is Man-Thing doing? He's just walking up and getting burnt. He's distracting Despair. So look at this. Despair is just hand out. Man-Thing is just burning. And what it gives Spider-Man a chance. Man, he's giving up his life for me, for his friends. And all I'm doing is watching. I got to help him. What do I do? Despair will blast me again. And he grabs a stick and he does a pole vault right to the face. Pole vault to the face with a great sound effect of crack-cow. Crack-cow. Boom. And he hits him so hard that reality is warping. His attack is so sudden, his moves so blindingly fast, it's hard to tell what's happening. His fists smash into Despair like sledgehammers. Sledgehammers, yo. His mind short-circuiting from the punishment it's taken, slipping ever so far across the threshold of insanity. He feels, Tom, what's happening? Look at that. Spider-Man is just wailing him. You showed me a part of myself no one should ever see, Buster. Then you laughed. And I don't hear any laughter now. Huh, Spooky? How does it feel to be on the receiving end of change? Huh? Answer me, Despair. Answer me! Despair has sown the wind, my child, and now I think he reaps the whirlwind. Again, Shakespeare. And I love this. So what is happening? Man-Thing just lumbers up and then just burns. He just lumbers up and burns. Looks like he doesn't do anything. But what does he do? He shames Peter Parker. He shames Spider-Man into action. But that is exactly what Man-Thing planned to do. Man-Thing, he may be dumb, but he ain't stupid. So he's burning to death in front of, and what that inspires him. It gives him a saving throw. Spider-Man makes his saving throw. He musters his spirituality. He musters his mentality. He musters his physicality. And fine-tunes that, and so he's not just kicking Despair with his foot. He's kicking Despair with his spirituality. He's kicking Despair with his mental resolve. So hard that it's crushing and warping this Nexus of all reality. everything is changing. He's just walloping. So this is a spiritual sledgehammer. It's a mental sledgehammer. He's just beating despair, literally beating despair. You know, and we got the Boltons. These I never read as a kid. You know, this is Stan's soapbox. So this is literally Stan Lee from California with his, you know, mojito in his Speedos, you know, just writing letters to us readers. I never read them as a kid. I read them now, but I never read them. And the rest of these is just in-house Marvel news, which again, I never read as a kid. I read them now. And we got so here we got Daredevil, the Man-Thing comic, and he's meeting the Brain Drain, McBrain. Oh my God, McBrain. So here he is, McBrain. And Spider-Man is smart enough to understand that Twinkies are the best. Twinkies will defeat you. Twinkies. And McBrain is smart enough to appreciate a delicious golden sponge cake with that cream, slightly vanilla taste. Oh my God. Now I want a Twinkie. I would be a Daredevil villain just to get a Twinkie. Anybody? I really hope your boy Zach returns to normal. I love his videos up until he started attacking his audience. And if I'll be clipped into Student of God's video, what really turned me against Zach, I could tolerate him having a problem with Critical Drink, although I didn't see it, nor did I care. Somebody on the internet besides me is wrong. You know, right now, somebody disagrees with me, you know, the Phoenix Force. I'm not going to spend 6 months fighting with that guy. We disagree. Who cares? But what really got me was Zach like, oh, all of these late books. Well, your book seems like it's late. Your book reads like it's on time. Your book reads. So he's making fun of all of these people that are legitimately pissed off because they waited for Zach's books. And then he puts out Jawbreakers, whatever the hell it is. It's an unreadable mess. So your book is 3 years late and it reads like it's on time. You know what I mean? If you're going to make a boast like that, put you on. Writers are a dime a dozen, says somebody else, and then puts out one of the worst written comics I've ever read. And then Zach making fun of people who professionally bring out their comics on time, and then he makes a comic that is just a mess. It's a mess. You could take the latest Jawbreakers book, cut up the pages, put the panels in any order, and it reads exactly the same. It's a mess. And Rock Roll Ninja was awesome. Rock Roll Ninja was awesome. That's probably the only Splato book I'll be getting. So here we got Spider-Man beats the crap out of everybody. You know, I love this. He is in such a frenzy that Domk stops him from just crushing despair. And, you know, so it's like, enough, my young friend. Will you not be satisfied until you take this demon spawn's life? Huh? Oh my Lord, what have I done? You saved us, hero, from death and worse than death. See, so he beat despair so bad that reality shifted, and now he could see Jennifer Kale in this sexy outfit. I tell you, if I ever become a wizard and I get an apprentice girl, she's dressing like this. You know, if I'm going to spend all that time researching magic and spells, I want an apprentice girl who dresses like that. So look at that. Despair is just laid out. And I used to call this the John Byrne effect until I learned more about comic books when I found out that this is the Neil Adams effect. But they use their power, gold and silver, again, to mix franchises. We got the Light of the Two Trees from Valinor, and they just shatter his tower, you know, shattering the Dark Tower of Barad-dûr. You know, Tolkien. You're gonna tell me Chris Claremont didn't read Tolkien, you know? And then he puts up a web shield as the fragments land on everybody, and then they disappear, and they got Swamp Thing. Just, he's all fine. He's all regenerated. He's all cool. They're gone. Dom, Jennifer, Spooky, that tower, like that they will all never hear. That's all that left is me and the Shaq and Manny. Even the memory of despair, fears, apps ain't so bad anymore. Almost like they happened to somebody else. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe all those long hours slogging through the swamp finally got to me. Maybe in the end, it'll never know. So, you know, Spider-Man can't seem to retain all that memories because it was different dimensions and whatever. Super bodybuilding course. Introducing the bodybuilding system that guarantees you'll put inches of powerful muscles on your body. Right? I love that. You'll flex and dynamite will pop out of your muscles. This ad, I don't know why, as a kid, I thought this was the funniest thing ever. Is Ben Kenobi tapping the stormtrooper while holding a lightsaber. I don't know why that was the funniest thing in the world to me. And the stormtrooper is just like, check out this cool poster, man. It's got Luke Skywalker and meanwhile they're over here. This just shows you why stormtroopers can't hit anything. They don't even know this guy's checking out this cool poster and they're right there and he doesn't even notice it because stormtroopers can't shoot and hit anything. And then Obi-Wan over here. I don't know why. Just always made me laugh. Always made me laugh. Anybody know who drew this? Anybody know who drew this? And then we got the back cover. Trying to get rid of this little dog ear right here. That drives me nuts. But there you go. An amazing comic. I'm so glad you picked this, Marcus. It was even better than I remembered it. Even better than I remember. And guys, I'm not joking. I haven't picked up this comic in 20 years. The story, I read a little bit of it, but how good was that storytelling that it just immediately, well, I mean, I probably read it 20 times as a kid, but it immediately came back to me. The art, the panel progression told me everything that I was able to tell you the story. The only thing I couldn't remember was like characters' names and stuff like that. But, you know, that's all within one comic. This would have taken Brian Michael Bendis 12 issues and an annual to tell this story. Oh my God, so good. So good. So let's check out the chat. Remember all those giant-sized man things? Remember them. I'm still telling them. Every once in a while, I'll be in the comic book room sorting comics and I'll come across giant-sized man thing and I'll put it on the side because it's only a matter of time before my wife comes down. Yeah, it's dinner time or whatever. And I'm like, hey, you want to see my giant-sized man thing? And every time she rolls her eyes, I put it back and I giggle. So yes, I do remember those jokes. I'm still living those jokes. I read all that stuff as a kid. You talk about Tolkien? I drew Hostess parody featuring the Punisher where the poor bastard gets gunned down after Frank threw. Yeah, here's a Twinkie. He goes to get. That's funny. Rock and Roll Ninja is awesome, and I hope the next book. Yeah, Rock and Roll Ninja is great. So I'm mad at Zach, but I can separate the art from the artist. And Rock and Roll Ninja, Chuck Dixon goodness, Matt Barrett. No lie. My art is my favorite. The art is my favorite. Just it looked like old Manhattan and it brought back the feels, you know. Matt, you got to draw me in the crowd. Matt. But Zach doesn't think his comics are bad. You do. I know. They're terrible. I liked Impossible Stars, but that was written by Chuck Dixon. I couldn't follow Iron Sights. I got the gist of it, but I was confused most of the time. And Jawbreakers, the first Jawbreakers was serviceable. It was good. I liked the art. I still like John Malin's art. The story made sense, but I didn't care about the story. Like, I don't care about the characters. I don't know enough about the characters. I don't care about the characters. The second one, what was the second one? See, shows you how much. And then the third one was, the second one was all of a sudden the all-powerful Franklin Richards character. I don't care. I just didn't care. The characters aren't fleshed out enough. Like, you know, he's got to do more little things. Like the first one was Space Monkey from another dimension. Second one was all powerful God. Like we need more character building stuff of just like interactions, you know. And again, it didn't bother me until he started bragging. You know, when I start bragging that my comics are the greatest thing in the world and I'm making subpar comics, call me on it. You know, but I Katie was on in the studio last night and she's like, you know, thank you for being cool about my criticism. I was like, hey, Katie, I agree with most of your criticisms. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to think I'm still humble enough to understand. Like, I don't make the greatest comic in the world. I'm trying. I want to. I aspire to. But call me on it. You know, things like that. You know, and it's funny because I said it from the beginning. I'm the weakest part of my comics. I mean, the Renzo's art is outstanding. The coloring is amazing. The lettering is outstanding. The ads that Matt and Brian and Fabrizio are so good. You know, I think my ideas are great, but my execution needs work. You know, so, you know, once I start bragging that writers are a dime a dozen, or your comic looks like it came out on time, and then you deliver a mess, you know, that I don't, that just bothers me. You know, that being braggadocious and then being able to back it up, I can respect that. Being braggadocious and then like, here's some poop. You just bragged. You just bragged. Get that poop out of here. You know what I mean? That bothers me. Yeah, the argument, if you want quality, it's going to take time. Lose validity when the book. Yes, absolutely. Good. You crystallize my thoughts better. You know what I mean? Brag. You're the best quarterback in the NFL, and then you just come and you dominate, and you crush. You earn that brag. You know what I mean? To the point where I'm like, that guy's an ass, but man, I respect that guy. You know. But when I'm the best quarterback, and then you get sacked 142 times, and you know your team loses 87 bazillion to 4, you know what I mean? Then you're a laughing stock. The Havok issue was my first comic. Really? The next issue? 69, dude. That was your first comic? Cool. Cool. I mean, you're right about Zach, but Zach doesn't think, yeah, I know. I know. It's hard to be your own critic. And it's hard, you know, when I wrote my first script for Heroic Tales #1, I was like what's his name in the Christmas Story? You know, Ralphie. I was like reading the script going, you know, when he's trying to write that essay, you know, what I want for Christmas, Red Ryder BB gun. And he just stops and that's how I was. And then Brian Bow was just like, I don't care about any of this. You know, did I yell at him and scream at him and then have all my followers go to Danger Vanessa's chat to pat me on the back to give me a non-existent best writer award? No, I threw that script out and I started over again. That's what you do. I drew it in an alternative timeline. What are you referencing? That actually stopped me. Good stuff. I always loved the team ups. Felt like I was getting 2 comics in one. Yep. I got the Alex. I got 2 copies. I got a hardcover that I put up in my bookshelf upstairs. Upstairs, all my oversized hardcovers are there, and then I got a soft cover for reading. I don't know why. I'm a sucker. I bought 2 copies. I didn't read it yet though. It's right here somewhere in this stack of nonsense that I still have to read. Oh, there it is. It's right there. Hi, I miss you. I miss you too. You miss me? I miss you too. My wife's laughing at me out right now. But wow, 2 hours. This is a fun comic. And as usual, I'll keep talking as long as the comments go. My wife is sitting over here looking at her. What? She's going like this. So whatever you guys. Oh, Eric the Guap. Oh, my stomach just fired off. I'm getting hungry. What CG has taught me, most artists cannot write. Editors are the unsung heroes of comics. Yes. Yes, absolutely. To the point, I'm adding a step to my comic. I have the Mary Sue story. I'm just going over the dialogue because I could always you can't go over it enough. And then I'm going to have it lettered. And then I'm going to send it over to Ali Sanguilis, who's buddies with Rini, and she's an editor, and she's going to go over it because I spotted a couple of typos in the comic that just bothers me. And it's funny, the only people that I don't know if other people noticed the typos, but I noticed the typos, and yeah, my wife noticed it immediately, just as I paid for the invoice to get it printed. She was like, look at this typo on the first page. I was like, you know, so to get rid of the typos and then just to help out. She's a professional editor. What does she charge? A penny a word or something like that? So I can afford that. Yeah. And then we got Matt, Nick X. That's not all of indie comics. Yeah. And don't just throw indie comics under the bus. Look at mainstream comics. They're just as bad. The editors aren't editing. You know, look how many typos are in Dark Horse's, you know, comics and Marvel comics are just bad. It's all comics. It has to do with all writing. Don't just Nick singles out indie comics like the indie comics are the bad guys. It's all comics, you know. So there you go. Anything? Bueller? So again, the Havok issue, next issue, is that also Chris Claremont? Because I have no recollection of that comic. I have, and I have it, and it's funny because when I was going through the box, I was like, Havok. I can't remember what it's about, so I just, this one I read over and over and over again. It's so, all right. Anything? Bueller? All right. So next week, I would like to do Rome Eternal. I hope. Well, if I find it, doesn't matter. I just ordered. It's like $5. So it's in there someplace. I can't seem to find it. But I didn't. I'm looking at I usually give the itinerary of what I booked for the month. Where is it? February the 19th. I have Adam Reeves. Adam Reeves does Trombone Man, so he's going to start his campaign for Trombone Man #2 on Kickstarter. I love Trombone Man. If you see my video, it's ska music mixed with comics. It's just so good. I just bought it on a whim and I absolutely loved it. So he's coming back. He'll be talking about ska in his comic, and that's it. I have one guest scheduled for the entire month. I just been slacking on booking people because I was booking people like 2 months in advance, and I just stopped. So I have a lot of slots open. I'm off for a week, so I already have like solo board game videos and stuff like that planned, and other things, but I don't have a lot of guests lined up. So if anybody wants to be a guest, hit me up on DM. Friday, I'm going to be doing It's Clobbering Time with Spawn versus Ghost Rider. I just like that team up for some reason. If you have ideas for It's Clobbering Time, DM me or put them in the regular chat. Not the chat. Put it in the comment section. There's the chat that is live. Put it in the comment section because it's hard to look up stuff that's in the chat. So there you go. I got nothing else to say. Rusty Trombone. There's a comment. That's a good one. Oh, Spawn and Ghost Rider. That's a good one. Oh, okay. It's not really typos. It's the edit. Yes, absolutely. Now, I will say that Marcus just made me think about something about editors. I think in the independent comics sphere, it's the editor has a weird job because in Marvel, one of the things that the editor has to do is protect Spider-Man from like injury. You know what I mean? And I don't mean like getting punched by despair. I mean like something that ruins the brand. You got, Danny O'Neill always said that he's not just the editor of Batman, he's the custodian of Batman. And when he's done with his tenure, he has to put Batman back on the shelf so that the next generation can use Batman to pay their mortgages, put their kids in college, pay the bills at the DC building, things like that. And I think in the mainstream comics, I think the editors are dropping the ball. They're really damaging these characters in the long term. In the indie sphere, now I hire Phil Moskowitz to be my editor. They're going to check for typos, edits, this is redundant dialogue, all that stuff that I really do need help with. I absolutely need help with that kind of stuff. But are they going to say this damages the patriarch or this, yeah, but I own the patriarch. You know what I mean? That is a weird thing. So I think the editors in the indie sphere have like a different job than the main, or I don't know if I'm articulating it properly, but I think in the mainstream they have like an extra layer of force field protection that they need to do. Paul F is my friend Paul. He loves the flannel snuggie. Yeah, this is one of my. I told my wife this is my second favorite gift of all time. The first favorite gift was she took me to Iceland for my 50th birthday, and then this keeps me warm down here because I'm always cold. What's going on? Rusty Trombone. Which Ghost Rider, Johnny? That's for It's Clobbering Time guests to differentiate. We always talk about the history of the character, the different versions. Like, for instance, I did not know that there was 8 versions of Clayface when I did It's Clobbering Time. We did the research live on I thought there was 3 versions, and I thought there was like a small, like one-shot 4th version, but I didn't know there was 8. Reworking my Patriarch, thought of a better shot. I'll DM you. Okay, cool. Thank you. Cool. I just want to make a thread of all like fan art, stuff like that. You got to drum up your own excitement. You know what I mean? It's nobody else's job to drum up excitement for my comic. You know, Stan Lee's not here. I don't know yet. We'll talk about both Ghost Riders. Well, there's more than both. There's three. There's Rick Reyes, right? And then there's also the Ghost Rider and the Cowboy Horse. Which Spawn? See, Spawn is going to be tough for me because I only know. I think I have 1 to 63 of Spawn comics. So I maybe up to 100, but I think I read 1 to 63. I think I have up to 100. And this being cockeyed is driving me nuts. I keep bumping into it. Comic Raider. What version of? There you go. Gunslinger Spawn is my. You guys come in the chat. It's Clobber Time is always open invite. It's always open invite. The Cowboy. I don't know. I'm liking cowboys and westerns more and more as I get old. I think it's like an old man thing, you know. Not old man thing. It's an old man thing. I'll be advocating for him Friday. Cool. Come in the chat. Are the dead zones going to be a factor? What are dead zones? Is this a Spawn thing that I know nothing about? Come on in. Because is it fair to say I know classic Spawn? Is Spawn around long enough to say the classic version? I'm reading current Spawn. It's very different now. Yeah, McFarlane's not a great writer, you know. Nothing else to say. He's a great artist, great innovator, great businessman. Probably a better businessman than anything else. Gunslinger Spawn is technically immortal. Again, I don't know. So are there multiple versions of Spawn at the same time? I don't like that. I don't like that. That dilutes the flavor. You know, like Swamp Thing, there's the Parliament of Trees, but there can only be one swamp elemental at a time. It takes away too much power. And for whatever magical science reason, the Parliament of Trees is the only place they could exist. But what they do is they all plant their roots and kind of like go on like you know your computer when it's on like sleep mode. So that's what they do. They're like on sleep mode, on minimal power, you know, and they exist in the spiritual realm of the green. Mark Boyd, they kind of ruined Cowboy Ghost Rider attacking Mockingbird like that. Yeah. I that memory is like stored in a box. I forget about it, and then you just opened it, and now I'm gonna have to get a fresh set of nails and knock it back. Yes, there's a Spawn universe now. See, again, Spawn just celebrated its 300th issue, and so I got like the first third. So there's a lot I don't know. And it would be wrong if I knew it all. I mean, if there was nothing new in 200 issues, that would be bad. Hank Pym. There's right now. Gunslinger Spawn got time to place. He was killed and shot into the future. That is such a lame plot device. That is such a lame plot device. That, you know, sent into the future, sent into the past, and yet, if my comic goes long enough, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to do it to show how time travel should work, but I guess I'm arrogant. All right. Anything else to say? We got a bunch of people watching today. Thank you. Again, I always used to say that Sunday Comics was my favorite thing that I do on this channel, but I got to say it's Clobbering Time and Sunday Comics are my two favorite things that I do on this channel. I mean, I love having conversations with people, but this, I think it's Clobbering Time and Sunday Comics are like the what I set out to do when I started this channel, you know. So it's like the closest to like just hanging out, talking about comic books with comic book geeks. I mean, it's not the closest. It is hanging out, you know, with the exception of being here in this room together. This is the best of what I envision this channel to be. I don't know. I did the art auction Friday. It was a miserable bomb. I would like to do it art auctions again in the future. I'm thinking of ways to drum up excitement. I think announcing it on Wednesday and doing it on Friday is not a good idea. So I think I'll announce it. And if you want to participate, don't just say I want to participate. Like send an image of I want to participate. This is the art, you know, and people are like, oh, I like that. I like that. You know, maybe and then other people retweet it. So like if you're a fan of Nick Axe's art, you know what I mean? Oh, a Nick Axe. Oh, I like that. Or you don't even know Nick Axe, and you, oh, I like that. You know what I mean? And then, whatever, get, capitalize on, on all that stuff, and then build the desire, and then what, like maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, actually have the auction. We'll try that. Oh, Eric's saying the same thing. Yeah, yeah. I'm impulsive. Like I said, since the car accident, my emotions are like this far away from my skin. Uh, it is fun reading. Everybody's raving. Joe Sontag does like his whole channel is like dedicated to Spawn. Uh, my problem is I'm not just going to go from issue 63 to 300. Like I have to read up to that point, so it ain't going to happen anytime in the future. It's just too much money. Gunslinger Spawn could take down angels by infusing his weapons with his own blood. Interesting. Cowboy Ghost Rider is now Wrath of God by Lopresti. Yes. A lot of, I mean, one of the things Mike Barron said to me on the phone was, your comic isn't breaking any new ground, but I think you knew that. And I said, yeah, it's a love letter to stuff that already existed. He goes, okay, that's fine. That is, as long as you know what you're doing and that's what you want to do, then you succeeded in your task. Yeah. So yeah, Aaron Lopresti knows what he's doing, and he's doing a good job with it. So there you go. All right. It's funny. Every time I'm just about to hit the end stream button, a bunch of new comments pop up. So I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I'm going to shut down now. That was a lot of fun. My stomach is growling. It's time to get some food. Time to get some 25% tariff coffee from Tim Hortons. And I'll see you guys. All right. Bye-bye.